Hi, my name is David, and it's my honor to share a word with my family. And we're at Luke 6:46, and it says, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I tell you? Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show you what he is like. He is like a man building a house, who dug deep and laid the foundation upon rock. And when a flood arose, the stream broke against that house, and could not shake it, because it had been well built. But he who hears and does not do them is like a man who has built a house on the ground without a foundation, against which the stream broke, and immediately it fell. And the ruin of that house was great." And so when it said, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you?" I looked up what it means to call someone Lord, and I found that the word Lord is a title for a person who has authority or control over others and acts as a master or a chief. And it made me think that people, they call him Lord, but they don't do what God tells them to do. And calling them Lord, they're calling him a chief or a leader and someone who has power over them, but they decide not to listen to him. And when it was talking about, he was giving the example about the foundation, it made me think that the people who hear what God says for them to do, but doesn't do it, it's like they know what to do. Like, when building a house, they know to build the house, they know to build the foundation for the house, but they decide not to do it, and the house ends up getting destroyed because they didn't do what they knew they were supposed to do. And it's like God telling someone what to do, but they know to do it, but they end up not doing it, and then they end up being worse on in the future than what they would be if they had listened.
Anybody want to remark?
I think that's really good to look up the definition and the term of what Lord means, and then to realize, they're saying Lord, but they're not actually following what the definition of calling that person Lord means. So he's not their Lord. They're just giving him that name. Instead of it being a title, with authority, it's just a name.
Back in the day when you had a lord of the manor, I guess like in Europe, you had the king, and then you would have lord of the manor, which is the person who was over that area. They were in complete charge of that, in complete control of that area. And to the extent that the people of that area, of course, they were subjects of the king. They belonged to the lord of the manor. And so the lord of the manor would get to decide when a child was born. The lord of the manor would get to decide, okay, this child is going to grow up and do such and such. I think it was like at the age of 6 or 8 or something is when they would start doing their like apprenticeship, like or they'd be whether it's a blacksmith or whatever it was that they whatever they were going to be assigned to do. But he would make that decision. Like the parents didn't even have control over what the child was going to grow up to do. The lord of the manor would decide, when someone is needed here, so they're going to be here, and that's basically what they did. And so he had that much control over the people of that area, and so that's what he used to bring the whole concept of the meaning of the word Lord, the authority that it carries and stuff. So that was good that you look up the definition, because it does mean master, and it's supposed to be that they have that authority over you. And again, when I was going through, the Lord was talking to me about trusting him for the number of children I would have. He said to me, "Am I Lord?" Like he said, "I want you to trust me. I want to be in control of this. Am I Lord?" That's what he asked me, and I said, yes, you are, And so, so you talked about, well, what happens when they don't build on the foundation, on a solid foundation, Well, what happens when you do build on the solid foundation? Because it talks about that too. It talks about those are the houses that stand. They withstand the storm. They withstand the pressure. They withstand the onslaught of the enemy. They withstand that because their house is built on the solid foundation of Jesus Christ. What He has said for them to do, what He, following, or obeying what He's telling them, allowing Him to be Lord, and doing what He's telling them to do as He's telling them to do it. So yeah.
What's the foundation of the church?
Supposed to be apostles and prophets.
He was talking about that. If the ministry doesn't have a foundational, a church that doesn't have a foundation that's right, they can't build a house on. I mean, when he was saying that, it just came to me about the church. The foundation of the church, apostles and prophets.
Yeah.
If a denomination don't have apostles and prophets in their foundation, I don't believe they can truly function. The foundation is where you get your teachers.
When I read this back again, it says, I think this goes to the point of how important obedience is. It says, everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show you what he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation upon rock. And when a flood arose, the stream broke against that house and could not shake it. So he's not saying that the man who is he's using building a house on a good foundation as a representation of what you're doing when you're listening and obeying God. So he's saying when you are hearing me and obeying me, you're like the guy who, when he built his house, he built it on a firm foundation. And if you're like the man who hears my words, but you're not listening, you're like the guy who didn't build his house on a firm foundation. And when trials and tribulations came, you were shaken. When you listen and obey God, part of the thing that kind of keeps you down and holds you is your faith in God from obeying Him and seeing what God is doing through you. Having faith in Him and trusting Him through trials and tribulations.
Actually, you can even take that to, like, it. How do I say? We're sort of saying, oh, that when the trials and tribulations come, you won't be shaken. But that can be literal. Like, by listening to the Lord can say to you, save your money. Say I want you to save $1,000 over the next 5 weeks or 10 weeks or a year or whatever. And when you do that, okay, because He knows what's coming next year, right? He knows what's coming next year. So He says, save that money. When you obey Him, okay, when the hard time comes, you got money saved up. You know what I'm saying? So that also, it goes that way too. It's obviously a spiritual thing and a physical thing, but it's all if you are listening to God. He will tell you what to do. Whether it be a physical thing to do or whether it be a spiritual thing to do, He'll tell you. And you won't be shaken, or you will be taken care of. Your house will stand. You'll be able to pay your bills or whatever. You'll be able to bring food into your house or whatever it is because you listen.